Hey guys, it's Zoe and welcome to day 6 of Couchmas. If you don't know what Couchmas is, I will leave the first video linked down below where I describe all that, so you can go check that out and get up to speed with what's going on here. Today I'm going to be doing my November wrap-up. All things considered, it was a pretty good reading month. I'm very proud of myself. I have 10 books here. 2 of them I started in October, but I finished in November, so I'm counting them. Before we start, I have recently revamped my Patreon tiers. I will leave them in the description box so you can see them. Current patrons aren't losing anything, they're gaining quite a few benefits, and I've reduced the lowest tier and I've added a bunch of things. Depending on the tier, there is going to be a patron-only book club. You can vote on a book for my TBR for me to read each month. You can vote on a video topic for me to read each month, Words are so hard. There will be patron shoutouts at the end of every video. So if that's something you're interested in, check it out down below. And thank you all so much for all your support. So I'm going to shut up about other things and get into this wrap up. These are in no particular order. They're just whatever's closest to me here on the couch. First up, we have 10 Rules for Faking It by Sophie Sullivan. Feel like I gave this one 4 stars, but let me pull up the old Goodreads here. So this follows Everly Dean, who is a producer at a radio station. I'm reasonably confident it's her 30th birthday, but don't quote me on that. She has had a history of really, really shitty birthdays, and this one is no different. She walked in on her boyfriend having sex with another woman. You'd think it couldn't get any worse, but no, she goes to work and she tells her friend about this, her friend who's a DJ for the radio station. Unbeknownst to her, they are live, and every listener who was tuned into the station at that time hears her ranting about her boyfriend and how she walked in on him cheating on her and how this birthday sucks just as much as the others. So she is absolutely mortified. Her boss is super cute. His name is Chris, and she thinks he hates her. So they take this whole thing, this whole clusterfuck, for lack of a better word, and they're like, you know what? Let's use this to our advantage. Emily Everly. Why am I saying Emily? Her name is Everly. She ends up being the star of their bachelor type show for the radio because she wants to get out of her comfort zone. She wants to forget about cheating ex-boyfriend and all of that. She's got all these people lining up to date her. Fans are voting on their Facebook page for who she should pick for her dates and everything. And it's going great, except now it seems like maybe the crush she had on her boss is not so one-sided. And maybe true love has been under her nose this whole time. Basically, what she's gonna need to do is fake it till she makes it. So she makes a list of 10 rules for faking it until she makes it. It was cute. I liked it. It didn't wow me. The main thing, though, is it's a slow burn. And it's fade to black. The more I read, especially romance, the more I realize that slow burn is not my thing. And fade to black is especially not my thing. But, it was good, but it was just missing that whole element of it that I typically look for in a romance. So, if slow burn and fade to black is your thing, I recommend it. If it's not, like me, it's good, but just don't go into that expecting it. Next up, we have The Raven King by Maggie Stiefvater. This is the 4th book in the Raven cycle, the last book. I listened to this audiobook, and I gotta say, Will Patton, as a narrator, I hated him in the beginning, but by the end of the series, I'm like, you know what? Kind of slaps. I'm not totally hating this anymore. Not the best audiobook narrator I've ever heard, but not the worst. So the Raven cycle follows Blue. It's late. My god, I gotta go to bed when I'm done this. The Raven boys, Gansey, Noah, Adam, and Ronan. I almost forgot their names. And it's their search for, Gansey's search really, everyone else just kind of gets added into it, to find this ancient Welsh king named Glendower. If you find him, he grants you a wish. I don't even know how much to say without giving it away. I will not be describing the events of this book in case of spoilers for other people, but let me tell you, when you read this series, especially after the first one, and you find out what's going on with Noah's character, I'm not going to say what, again, because of spoilers, you'll understand like why this trips me out so much. But my youngest son is named Noah. And I reread this series, the first 3 books at least. It's my first time reading this one after I had him. That was a choice that I made. I totally forgot that the character's name was Noah. That was an awful time for me. This one, I think I gave it 4 stars like the rest of this series. Yeah. Oh my god. You put a freaking yawn counter in this one. It was good. It was missing just something. Something that stuck with me. Something that should have stuck with me. Like that wasn't there with this. Like I like the characters, I like the story, I like the writing, but it just wasn't like this is my favorite. It wasn't there. Will I reread the series again? Likely. Also, I'm not 100% sure I love the ending and how it all kind of like tied together. I will reread it. Maybe next year, maybe the year after, who knows, and see if like on a second read I like the ending better, but on the first one it just didn't slap. It was not a banger, as the children say. I don't even know what the kids say anymore. I'm old now. Is it banger? Couldn't tell you. If you're young, please let me know. Let me be hip. Let me be cool for once. Oh, I can't wait to embarrass my children one day. Next up, I have 3 books from the Junie B. Jones series. I've got Junie B. Jones' First Grader, Cheater Pants, Junie B. Jones and Some Snaky Peaky Spying, and Junie B. Jones and the Mushy Gushy Valentine. I have been collecting this series all over again. It was my favorite when I was a small child, and I want to get all the books and reread the whole series and then read them to my kids once they, sit and pay attention to when I read. At present, Carter will sit there for 3 seconds and then take the book from me and not flip the pages, but he'll flip it like this. And then throw the book and run it away or start biting it. And Noah just he farts every time I read to him. I don't know what that says about either of us, but that's what happens. So Junie B. Jones, the first books here, not First Grader, follow a kindergartner named Junie B. Jones, not just Junie B. She likes the B, it stands for Beatrice, and what she gets up to in her daily shenanigans. I loved these as a kid, like I said. As an adult, though, her attitude, the parenting, lack of parenting rather, her kindergarten teacher is garbage. She should not be around small children with that kind of attitude. Oh my god. Like, these are funny, they're cute. But when I read these to my kids, they will 100% know that this behavior is unacceptable. And then Junie B. Jones' First Grader, we obviously see her as a first grader. This is book number 4 in the series. Mushy Gushy Valentine is number 14. And Cheater Pants is number 21. That's my number. I didn't rate these. I don't typically like to rate books that I read as a young kid, especially this young, because the nostalgia gets in the way of an actual rating, and I just prefer not to. Next up, we have Donut Fall in Love by Jackie Lau. This is yet another example of what it's like having a toddler in the house, because he likes to go like this with my books. I guess it feels funny, or makes a funny sound. This follows a Canadian actor, Ryan Kwok, who's back in Toronto. It's always cool to see cities that, I know well. He's back in Toronto after his latest film release, which is not getting great reviews. He's just taking some much-needed time off. He's been working hard for years. His mom had died a few months before, and he just wanted to be around his sister, who is having a baby, and his dad, who's, not communicating ever. So he wants to be close to his family. And his dad, instead of talking to him and communicating with anyone, just trolls Ryan on Twitter now. That's his newest thing. It also follows Lindsay, who is a baker in Toronto. She owns her own bake shop. They meet when Ryan walks into her bakery and knocks over a tray of freshly made tiramisu, matcha tiramisu donuts. So it's kind of like a some tension at the beginning. So Ryan signs up to be part of a celebrity version of this show called Baking Fail, where it's just people who don't know how to bake and they just let them loose in the kitchen. He signs up for this show and he's like, I need to kind of figure out a little bit of what I'm doing in this kitchen before I go on and make a complete fool out of myself. So he goes to his new best friend Lindsay, and he's like, you can teach me how to bake. Please do it. So they do that, and then they fall in love. There's a lot that happens in between then. This one I gave also 4 stars. Again, slow burn. Not a lot of smutty smut. Every time I would start reading, things just started happening in my life. So I was like pulled out of the story really easily, and I found it hard to get back in, which is definitely a me problem, but I will likely reread this again next year and hope it goes better. But the main takeaway from this book that I had is I am annoyed. This spelling of donut is not the typical Canadian spelling. Canadians spell it D-O-U-G-H-N-U-T, like dough, like the dough, not a do nut. I was annoyed. This book is set in Canada, and I understand with like the pun, the play on words and everything, but like it's set in Canada, spell it properly. Oh my god, it's like seeing Canadian advertising for things that it's clearly an American company, but they're advertising in Canada, and they spell the word color wrong. Spell without a U. Neighbor, no U. Like what? It's always really nice to read books from the UK when they like end up in thrift stores here or whatever, or we get just like the UK published ones, because the words are spelled properly. Oh, it's just too much for me. Too much. Next up, I have The Heart Principle by Helen Huang. Another one that Carter got to. So this is the 3rd book in... Is there a series name for it? I don't know. The Kiss Quotient is the first one, and then The Bride Test is the second one. And then we have The Heart Principle. So this is Kwan's story. You meet him in the first book. I gotta say, less of Kwan's story, more of Anna's story. So Anna is a violinist who accidentally went viral, and it really, really fucked with her. She has not been able to play any music since then, because as soon as she starts messing up, and then she can't continue, and then it's just an endless cycle, and the imposter syndrome is real, and she's just having a really fucking hard time with it. And then to top it all off, her long-term boyfriend is like, sweetie, we need to have a talk. Before we settle down, I think we should explore other options and make sure this is really what we want. Basically, let's have an open relationship so we can go fuck a lot of other women before coming back to you and realizing that you're everything I've ever wanted, because I am a trash human being. I'm paraphrasing here. So she's like, fine, let's do it. I'm gonna have a string of one-night stands. And then she meets Kwan, and they keep trying and failing, and trying and failing, and trying and failing to have a one-night stand, and for whatever reason, it's just not working out. And they're like, we're gonna get this down pat one day. It's a one-night stand, not even friends with benefits, but then, is it really a one-night stand if it's the 5th time you're trying this? How does that work? I don't understand that math. I don't understand any math. But that math especially, not really getting it. And then it's like, how do you not fall in love at that point? Especially because he accepts her on an unconditional level that she herself has just begun to understand. Tragedy strikes Anna's family, and she has to take on a burden that she is not really fit for. Anna and Kwan need to fight for their chance at love, fight for themselves, all of that fun stuff. This was an instant favorite, I gotta say. I've seen a lot of reviews where they were disappointed because this, like, the romance kind of took a backseat. I don't know what halfway, but like 2/3 at least, it did kind of take a backseat, I gotta say. Normally, I don't like that. I'm not a big fan. This one, though, it made sense. It was necessary for Anna's character development, especially. It hit really hard. The autistic rep, big fan of that, I gotta say. The author, I remember reading in the first book, in her author's note, she was diagnosed as an adult with what they used to call Asperger's, which is on the autism spectrum. In the author's note, she talks about how this is kind of like her story, and that's why it took her so long to write this, and that's why like this one, it gets so emotional, because it's kind of what she was living for so long. And I cried a lot. I almost started rereading it immediately after. It was not a perfect ending, like a picture perfect whatever, but it was a satisfying ending, and I think it was the most realistic ending, and I'm really happy about that. Although I do understand where like the 2 and 3 and even 4-star reviews are, where the romance wasn't there. It's supposed to be Kwan's story too, but like he kind of, like I said, takes a back seat a little bit in the whole romance. But I thought it was perfection. I thought it was so well done. I'm a huge fan, and this series, all 3 of them, it's one of my favorite series. Big fan. And then I have For the Wolf by Hannah Witten. Started this in October, finished it in November. It took me a very, very long time to read it because we went to Nova Scotia in between reading this, and I think I might have read a whole page while we were there for like 10 days. And we had about 40 hours of driving where I did not read at all. So it was a little bit of a rough go. But I really enjoyed this. It follows Red, who's the second daughter, and she's got one purpose in life. She needs to be sacrificed to this wolfy wolf in the forest. What is it called? Wilderwood. And she is kind of like, you know what, guys? I'm not too upset at being sent to this Wilderwood because this power in me, I don't know how to control it, and I don't want to hurt anyone again. So she goes, and then she finds out that things are not as they seem. They have been lied to. The gods that they have worshipped are actually pretty much monsters, and the wolf is actually a man, and nothing is as it seems in the Wilderwood. Outside of the Wilderwood, nothing. Nothing is what it seems. And her magic is a calling, not a curse. So yeah, this was really, really good. I'm really looking forward to the next one. My only issue with the whole reading experience, and again, this is 100% a me problem, was that I was pulled out of it too many times. I couldn't get back into it. It took me too long to read it, and it felt really disjointed, but I am going to reread this before the next book comes out and then read that one right after, and I'm looking forward to a 5-star reading experience. And then, the last of the physical copies I have here is In a Holidays by Christina Lauren. Someone sent this to me for my birthday. I cannot remember who it is. Whoever you are, thank you. And if you're watching this, let me know in the comments so I can thank you. This one follows Maylin Jones, who gets stuck in a time loop. Normally, the time travel stories I'm not a super huge fan of. I wanted to read this for a while, but the whole time travel thing kind of like put me off a little bit, but when it showed up on my doorstep, I was like, you know what, it's a sign. Let's read it. And I gotta say, I'm really happy. May is having a rough time this Christmas. She's in a dead-end job. She's moved back in with her parents. Life is not going super fucking dandy. And on top of that, she made a huge mistake in the romance department. And to top it all off, this is going to be her last Christmas at this snowy, perfect cabin in Utah, her favorite place in the entire world. So she ends up making a wish on the drive to the airport. She asks the universe what she can do to make things better. Like, show me what will make me happy. And the universe is like, okay, bitch, careful what you wish for. Screeching tires, smashing glass, everything goes black. And then she wakes up on the plane to Utah the week before the car crash happened. And she's like, what the fuck? And then it happens again and again. So she needs to figure out how to break this cycle, how to break her time loop, how to set the ball rolling again, how to make herself happy. And it was super, super cute, except the romance was not really in the forefront, I felt. Swoon-worthy romantic read is what it's described as. And I gotta say, it's not my favorite Christina Lauren. I did enjoy it, don't get me wrong. But I am like, my favorite Christina Lauren type stories are like Beautiful Bastard type, where pants are off and there's smation like 5 pages into it. This was definitely more of a slow burn. It was less romance heavy, not smut heavy, which, as we've seen from other books, I'm a big fan of. And this just was not giving that side of things that I really want. But it was good. It was cute. Again, if you are not super into really smutty romance and holiday books too, I would definitely pick this up. It did kind of read like a cheesy Hallmark Christmas movie, which is some of the highest praise I can give for a holiday book. I am obsessed with cheesy holiday movies. especially Hallmark, especially like the Netflix specials too, like the Netflix, what's the word? Give it to me. Originals. Thank you. Thank you, whoever gave that to me. The last book I have, this memory card's gonna be full in a sec. Boop, boop, and we're back. It was a great interlude of half a second, and I got something in my eye. It's not even makeup. I don't have any makeup on. It's too late, so I'm barefaced bitch right now. I didn't feel like doing my makeup and then taking it off immediately after. So here we are. Feeling like Mia in the first Princess Diaries movies.
Well, as always, this is as good as it's gonna get.
The last book I don't have a physical copy. I got an e-arc of one of my favorite books of the year. Oh my god, I love it so much. Ophelia After All by Raquel Marie Rocky again. So good. So good. I was sitting right here when this happened. Finished reading it. I cried for the last 20%. It's fine. It was a whole thing. Swiped out of the book. Immediately went to Twitter and started yelling at Rocky in the DMs. Oh my god. I'm sorry, not sorry for harassing you, but it was so good. It was so, so good. Let me pull up the synopsarino so I don't get it wrong, because I need to do it justice, because it was so good. This is 100% one of my favorite books of the year. And it was immediately after I finished The Heart Principle, so I had 2 5-star reads right in a row. So yes, Ophelia knows what she likes best, her best friends, Cuban food, rose gardening, and boys. Way too many boys, which is totally valid. She is a complete romantic, even though everybody makes fun of her like endless string of crushes, but it's an intrinsic part of her. And you know what? She can't stop it. She doesn't want to. She gets a little bit confused with this whole firm image she has of herself when she starts noticing her friend Talia more and more. And she starts thinking of Talia more than her loss of a perfect prom date, which is a big thing for her. Prom is a big, big moment for her. She is a little upset that she's not gonna have a prom date, but then she starts thinking about her friend more and more, who's a girl and who's not the picture perfect prom date that she had been expecting. So as things start to unravel between the friend group and going off to college soon and the end of high school and not having a prom date and these thoughts of her friend that she just can't really stop happening, she is questioning whether she needs to cling to this fantasy version of herself, this idea of herself that she's always known, or just, throw that all out and become the person that she really is. Kind of like rediscover herself. This was, oh my god, so cute. I have already asked for adoption papers for Wes, so it's not going to happen for anyone else. This comes out in February 8th, yes, of 2022. I'm going to need you to stop what you're doing, pre-order this book immediately. So good. So, so good. And with that, that is the last book. Let me count here to make sure that I actually did talk about all of them. Tits. I did it. 10 books. I'm actually really proud of myself because I read 10 books in November, and I also won NaNoWriMo. I vlogged during the month of November. I hit 50,000 words with like an hour to spare. I wrote over 10,000 words on day 30. And somehow, I still managed to read 10 books. I'm really proud of myself. I've been exhausted this last week, but you know what? Worth it. I did it. I proved it to myself that I could do it. Let me know down below in the comments what you read in November, if you picked up a favorite in November, if there was a book you were hoping to get to, but you didn't. Anything. Just talk to me. It's late. I'm lonely. I'm just really tired. Anyways, or if that's just too much or you don't have a lot of time, drop some hearts down below, preferably purple ones because that's my favorite color. As always, to stay updated with my current reads, you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Goodreads, all at Zoe's All Booked, which I will leave linked down below in the description box, along with the links to the Discord, which is going to be back up and running soon. Like, it never stopped running, but I just kind of forgot that it was there. But I gotta harass my big brother into helping me. Please help me, John. I love you so much. Because I have no idea how the fuck to work things and like set up the different channels and everything. So I'm gonna have him help me because he loves his baby sisters so much. Right? Right? You fucking better. Along with that, I will leave the Patreon link down below. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I've revamped the tiers. I'm really excited about them. Current patrons aren't losing anything, but they are gaining several things, and I've added some extra things. There's just so many fun things that are going to be happening, and I'm really excited about all of them. So check that out if that's something you're interested in, and thank you all for all of your support for the past, how long have I been doing this booktube? For almost 4 years now. Patreon for like a year and a half now. Thank you all so much. It means a lot to me. I love you guys. I'm getting really sappy, which means it's way past my bedtime. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and share the video. And I hope you all have a wonderful day and get at least a little bit of uninterrupted reading time. I love you, awesome nerds, and I will see you in the next one.